passionate about changing lives of our patients and building relationships with those that we treat. And, help day to day. Hope to help you understand that there is more to life than just drilling and filling. We are doctors of dental surgery, and we should be respected as much as our medical colleagues are. Don't you agree? And so before I jump into the meat of this seminar, I wanted to give you a background of why I became interested in epigenetics, Nrf2 being preventative and optimal oral health. First, we know that this country's healthcare is based on treating disease and not finding the root causes of things. Face it, we're just as bad as our colleagues if our systems are based on pretty much reactive instead of proactive approaches most of the time. We look for oral cancer, we look for deep pockets, we look for cracks and caries to fix, but that's still a symptom. So health has always been at the forefront of my life. Multiple chronic illnesses affect all of my family members, like diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and I'm hooked on finding ways to prevent my body from deteriorating. And with my genetic makeup, inevitably increases my chance for having a disease when I age. Or will they? Can I prevent this? I always thought, can I create an environment to allow my genes and DNA to be subdued? Or does nature take over and override all of my days of workout, healthy eating, that sort of thing? Am I doomed? Or so I thought, until I started reading up on epigenetics and Nrf2. Is it genetics that is the key factor to disease, breakdown, and aging gracefully? Well, I'll let you decide that after this webinar, and you'll think twice about what we are programmed to believe about genetics, antioxidants, and disease processes, especially as it relates to dentistry. Daily we're bombarded by free radicals, oxidation, oxidative damage to our cells. We all need to understand the impact of each of these environmental changes. Do you know anything about oxidative stress or free radicals, how it affects your aging patient base? Do you know its time and common denominator in disease processes? We know that antioxidants protect us from oxidants, which are compounds in our environment, which lead to creating oxidants and can damage our cells. Antioxidants can hurt rather than help if we have the wrong types. Antioxidants are vitally important. They protect us from environment, from sunlight. Oxidative stress can damage cell membranes and damage our DNA as we break down in age. Antioxidants, anti-aging, and that's what protects our bodies. But research also has found that sometimes too much antioxidants or not the right type can harm us. Antioxidants protect our body, and yet sometimes things that we think are protecting us may not be. Nutrients and antioxidants, when we supplement with them in the wrong way, like I said before, high doses, isolated, synthetic versions that people buy all the time, can actually cause damage to the cell walls and the cells in our bodies. All research shows us now that supplementing that way is the wrong way, and instead we want to do things to activate our own body's natural protective mechanisms to make their own antioxidants within our bodies. Most people don't even know that the body can produce its own antioxidant enzymes through this pathway called Nrf2 or Nrf2. Natural mechanisms such as fruits and vegetables can activate it, and so can spices and some herbal extracts also. So can we make our own antioxidants so we don't have to take them? I see a combination is the key. So remember, in our oral systemic facts, of these things are related to dental and inflammation, diabetes, gum disease, you name it. These things are all systemic factors. And remember the oral systemic approach. Do you know about oxidative damage and free radicals and how it works? When you cut an apple, you remember that when you cut an apple and you don't put any protective mechanisms on it, it ages and it gets brown. This is called oxidation, reactive oxygen molecules. So free radicals and toxins cause oxidative damage in the body and produce continuously in all animals that breathe. Anybody that breathes, we know, starts building up oxidation like this because the normal metabolic path depends on the consumption and chemical use of oxygen. The production of reactive oxygen molecules is unavoidable. The accumulation of oxidative damage adds up, and when the body cannot remove it fast enough, disease process sets in. When cells are damaged, the DNA within those cells, the reaction can be damaging and cause cell death or DNA mutations. This damage is known as oxidative stress. Reactive oxidative species are all created with exogenous sources such as pollutants, tobacco, smoke, drugs, ionizing radiation. Right? So look at this book here that I have on the screen. This book I read about a year ago, and I thought, whoa, that's kind of strange, deadly oxidants. So it intrigued me to start reading up on this, and it suggests that vitamins we ingest could be harming us instead of helping us occasionally if we have the wrong kind. And it suggests that there's different types of antioxidants, direct versus indirect. Who knew? I thought all antioxidants were the same until a few years ago. Make it instead of take it is what the motto was from this book. And I wanted to share in my webinar tonight to give you more to your patients and train your staff and feel that you're making a difference in your patients' lives and learn the most efficient and current way to optimal oral health with dentistry. What sets you apart from your competitor? My goal tonight is to educate you all and talk about the desires of the next generation, staying relevant, discussing Nrf2 protein pathways, and with the science and peer review studies, show you how to research it yourself, and bottom line, let you make your own informed decision. So these are things that my goals are with you tonight. And stay tuned at the end of this webinar. So if you decide that this interests you in any way, we have complimentary packets for how to get started, 2 documents that I use in my practice to educate my patients on Nrf2, and also a 1-hour webinar to train your staff. I also have some of the books from antioxidant that I showed you, and probably for the first 20 people that join or are interested in starting, I'll send you one of those as well. So a little bit about myself. Yes, like I said, I'm, Chinese American, 2nd generation. My dad was a dentist, and I grew up in the San Diego area. And so when I got married with my husband, we moved to Santa Rosa, Sonoma area. I've been in practice for 23 years. So I started my practice when I was in San Diego, and I had to sell it. So I've had to be an associate, start a practice, move, reestablish myself, first as an associate, and then again as an owner. So I know the ins and outs of being an owner and associate and how it feels to be on both sides. I've always kept up to date, whether it be technology, continuing ed, or practice management. And currently my office, Synergy Dental Group, I pride myself on being a team, staff-driven practice. And my vision was created by my team members and myself. So I think that, you know, it's great to have a chance to be in the community and do that kind of thing. But I also think and I feel that practice management consulting helped me a lot to be where I am today. And I've been with my coaching team since I started in '93, and since I moved up here, I kept with the same group. But I'm sure Danny could help any of you decide and help you get started if that's something that you're interested in. I've always thought that it sets us apart from other practices because we are systematic and we invest in our practice growth. So,
well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Recognize that this is your chance to become leaders in your community by offering things that separate you from your competitors. Treat your practice as a business. Most of the time you're in the mouth treating patients, and how much time do you devote to managing your practice? Does your practice run you, or do you run your practice? Easier said than done. And the next few slides, is what I've integrated so I could keep my office cutting edge and be at the forefront with technologies as well as the latest in optimal oral health. So basically, I've integrated biocompatible elements in my office. I wouldn't say I'm a complete biocompatible dentist. However, I do implement most holistic and biocompatible elements to my practice with a full body approach to prevention. Again, I think it's great to be liaisons between ourselves and our medical physicians. And why wait until you see something like this to happen in your mouth, in your patient's mouth? Be true preventive dentists. Educate your patients to want to complete dentistry, full dentistry, before these things occur. Why wait for these things to happen? Be preventative and you'll be much happier in your dental career. What about this? Do you guys know about pH? Lowering the pH, how do you do it? And what about sleep obstruction? This was actually a patient of mine that had this uvula with the two hanging nodules on it. We also do oral DNA testing. Do you do lab testing for prevention prior to dental procedures? This traditionally is a medical model, but we're doing it now. And it's getting more and more prevalent. Genetic predispositions. We can now test for interactions for medications. Example, Plavix has a black box warning, and over 30% of its users can't even metabolize it. So there's some tests that we could do to see if the patient has that problem, if they're not responding. So this company that I work with also has lab tests that perform and lab tests that show environment can influence the gene expression in periodontitis. 4 of them are innate, expressed, and 4 of them are expressed by environment. Remember that epigenetics and Nrf2 play a big role in our body. So therefore, in my practice, I often recommend these things to my patients, especially those that have refractory periodontitis. And if they also have multiple chronic disease symptoms and problems and medications, we test for Celsus-1. We test for some of these other genetic markers. Like I said, we also do biocompatible dental materials, BPA-free products, herbal remedies, bromelain and papain, direct and indirect antioxidant supplements. Do you know how to educate and treat with the latest in whole body dental health as it relates to the science in the year 2016? Even this is changing constantly with new research, which leads me to my next slide. So why change our approach? Here's the bad news. In 1997, we were ranked 34th in healthcare. 2000, we were ranked 37th. And so on and so forth. And now we were ranked 49th in life expectancy. We spend more on healthcare than any other country in the world, and we have the worst health of any industrialized nation. Those statistics are horrendous. Why aren't we number 1? Look at the statistics in the year 2008. With all of these different countries, Australia, Canada, Germany, Netherlands, we were number 7 on quality. Effectiveness, we were number 6. Again, coordinated care, we were 7th. We were 7th along a lot of those. And then in the year 2014, 87% of our United States population had 2 or more chronic diseases. Look at this. We have 4 or more prescriptions of 53% or more in the United States. We're not getting healthier. We have never been sicker. We are 5% of the world's population, and we take over 40% of the world's drugs in the U.S. We spend more money on healthcare than any other nation. Something is wrong, and something has to change in my mind, and I'm sure in yours too.
Question, if I could interrupt you for a second, Kim. When we talk about these ratings concerning how much is spent on healthcare, do you know what they're defining? I'm guessing that expenditure on pharmaceuticals is a big part of the healthcare expenditure. So, I mean, I think that you're probably going to get...
Most of it is healthcare and pharmaceuticals. So I got the information from the World Health and Healthcare among the adults. There's a World Healthcare International Health Policy Survey.
I think following up on what you're saying is it's not really healthcare, it's sick care.
Yeah, exactly right. And I'm sure a lot of you on the call tonight also agree. We've got to do something, and that's why you're on this call, so you can learn more about what we're talking about here.
Yeah. That's one of the sad irons, is that often the people that need to hear this the most are the ones that are least likely to be on the call. So to some extent, we're always preaching to the choir, but the whole point here is to add to our skill set and knowledge base, and then make intelligent, informed choices about where to go from here.
That's right. So I want to talk to you about what is relevant to the next generation. You saw this slide before. What's gonna change, right? Here's your chance to incorporate the latest and make a paradigm shift towards the future. The new generation is all about health, all about nature. X-Gens, millennials, baby boomers are all wanting to stay young and healthy and demand natural products. At least mine do in my area, neck of the woods. The way we treat whole body dentistry is an evolution. 10 years ago, the science and the tools are much more different than they are today. And as we speak, looking on PubMed.gov, which is on the internet, is the National Organization for Peer Review Studies. There was only 20,000 peer reviews in oxidative stress. And now, over 2 million studies on oxidative stress within the last year. So it's really increasing, and I just want to make sure that you understand tonight that what we're talking about is staying relevant with the time. There's more baby boomers turning 65 every day until the year 2010. I'm sure you've seen that and heard that as well. And the trends, of course, is that we want to become more preventative. We want to become more comprehensive and environmentally safe, because this is going to set you apart from your neighbor down the street. In my practice, we have social media presence, of course. We do have interactive websites, and we do use what's called virtual training that I actually have 3 partners in my virtual training that we train our staff, cloud-based. It's an intranet type of a system that trains staff members efficiently and effectively the same way every time. And that's not what I wanted to talk to you about tonight, so I just wanted to tell you that.
But it is impressive. One of the founders of that program, you're the content officer, so
yeah,
it's an impressive platform. I've sampled it myself.
Thank you. These are all things that I think that is very relevant to a practice, and to stay in focus and keep your team going, empower your staff to educate with you. Don't be the only one to be the one implementing things, because if you can empower your staff, you can be more efficient and you can help more patients in the long run. Leveraging your time. These are all things that are very important to me, and this is how I treat my business. And that leads me to the other products and things that I have in my practice. These are healthy things that we have. Profitable business should also have reliable products and services. In my practice, we do Canberra, xylitol, probiotics, what's relevant, antioxidants, natural Nrf2 products. And I keep saying Nrf2 products like you know it already, but we'll go over it shortly. This is just so that you understand the impact of what's happening in the world today. Do you have repeat loyal patients that pay you? Are you always waiting for payment, or do you have multiple streams of income falling back within your practice? I'm talking about, do you have products that keep people coming back? Do you have associates? Do you have hygienists that work with you and for you? And do you leverage your time? Because we're not going to get rich by being dentists and having our businesses unless we can leverage our time. I saw this, and I just put this in here so that you see it. This is the cash flow quadrant made famous by this man called Robert Kiyosaki. And what he says is there's employees and there's self-employed people. And 95% of the population is on this side of the quadrant. but only 5% of the people on this side of the quadrant are wealthy. And if we can leverage our time somehow through business or being an investor and have some residual passive income, we can always get to this side. And on this side of the quadrant, 5% of the people are of the population are on this side, yet 95% of them are wealthy and financially free. So I hope recognizing that this is an opportunity is something that you understand. So let's get back to this. Now, what do you think controls our health? Media. So can you answer any of these last questions? Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. You know what the next
all of them.
Yes, all of them. If you hear that, you know what the rest of it is. So that's why we are all, I do it too. The media is what helps us. So anyway,
Are you old enough to know what how to complete the jingle? You'll wonder where the yellow went.
Something about Pepsodent, right?
That's very good. When you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. Okay. So somebody must have told you that because you're too young for that to know that.
Yeah.
Very good. Right.
Going back to these statistics. So look, these leading causes for health, causes of death in the U.S. and all of these, what do these all have in common? Do you know? Look very carefully. All of these diseases have in common inflammation, oxidative stress, C-reactive protein, and that's all a common denominator with periodontal disease also, because you know we see inflammation in the gums, in the mouth, and that's pretty much the start. If we see it there, then we know what's in the rest of the body. So here are some things, health effects of chronic oxidative damage or oxidative stress, as some people call it. Cardiovascular, vascular, respiratory, you name it, the disease process is linked to oxidative stress and oxidative damage. So what is oxidative stress? Most of you will know what it is, but I'm going to review it so that you understand. Remember the apple, the brown apple? If we have an imbalance of oxidative stress in our bodies, we will start having effects of disease process. Oxidative stress is not a disease. However, it is linked to many diseases. So if we can reduce oxidative stress, then we might not be able to see the disease process started as quickly or if ever on certain things. So my goal is to keep the inflammation down, keep the oxidative stress down in my cell walls and on my patient's cell walls so that they don't have to have this wheel of problems happening. So compared with their counterparts, adults in the U.S. are sicker and much more likely to have medical problems, according to this few studies that I was reviewing here. Now I want to explain epigenetics to you. We talked a little bit about it when I showed you those saliva slides. And so what is Nrf2? You've heard me say this word now many times, and you probably have never heard this term. So this is why I'm passionate. Listen carefully because it's hard to understand the first time around. This is the way whole body health is going and how we treat, and all science is leading to this. It pertains to you and how you treat patients. Epigenetics is the study of environment and changing expressions of your DNA. It means that our environment can influence our basic genes. Remember in biology when one gene came from mom and one gene came from dad? The foods we eat, the amount of sleep we get, the nutrients we place or don't place in our bodies, and change the gene expression of our DNA. And remember I said all mammals. This is very important because you can change the expression of your DNA by your environment. And this concept was and intrigues me because it does affect all mammals. The oxygen we breathe, the food we eat, all break down and produce free radicals. Of course, they produce energy, but they also have a bombardment of free radicals that show damage to the cells. And T-bars are how we treat what we call the damage in our cells. Most don't even know that our body can create its own antioxidants. Most people don't understand this. When we're babies, until we're around 20, we have enough antioxidants and internal enzymes to break down the free radicals and neutralize the amount of free radicals that our body has daily. However, when we hit our mid-20s, our own body slows down the creation of their antioxidants and enzymes that are naturally made within our bodies. When we cannot produce as many antioxidant enzymes to neutralize these damaging toxins, then symptoms arise and chronic inflammation and disease process starts. We have the same amount of free radicals building up daily as our body antioxidants and enzymes slow down. And that's not fair, is it? Think about this. It's hard to run uphill as a healthy person, much less a person with a sprained ankle. This is why I'm educating you today on this. And I hope that you understand that we can reduce oxidative damage within our bodies naturally before they have a chance to build up those symptoms, which lead to diseases. And we can truly become healthy and proactive as a nation and with our patients every day. I'm here to tell you that this is the wave of the future, and finding Nrf2 activators to jumpstart your own body to heal itself seemed too far-fetched for me in the past, but now, since I've reviewed and understand it, I think it's fathomable. So our environment can affect our DNA, and it's proven. There's a discovery of Nrf2 proteins that in our cell walls, each and every one of the cell walls has Nrf2 protein called the Nrf2. Nrf2 serves as a master regulator of gene expression and producing natural occurring antioxidants and anti-inflammatories, anti-fibrosis also. But if we age, there are less and less. Let me show you the diagram. So this is a diagram of a cell that I found, and basically there's a little receptor here that would connect to an Nrf2 type of activator. Nrf2 is not out of the cell wall. Nrf2 is in the cell. They are proteins that are already in our cells. So basically what they need is an activator to activate them to move to the DNA and then start creating the pathways that produce antioxidant, anti-aging, anti-inflammatory process. Powerful protein pathway is unable to detach until it is released by an activator. So when we're young, we have more activators that are, we don't have to have as many activators through our environment. We already have enough that are open and viable. So if the Nrf2 activator successfully attaches and then the Nrf2 protein successfully detaches, it can do what it's meant to do in nature. So once the Nrf2 proteins are released, they migrate again into the cell nucleus and bond to DNA, which is a part of the master regulator process of total antioxidant system gene expression in cells. Can you visualize it? We found the Nrf2 protein regulates genes involved in the production of a wide variety, such as SOD, which is superoxide dismutase, glutathione, and catalase. These all are within our bodies, and they are made naturally in our body's cells. And they detoxify our genes in our body. And when we're young, we have a lot of them. When we're older, it just kind of slows down. It's like plumbing. And what they say now is it's better to make them in our own bodies rather than trying to ingest the enzyme. Because anytime we ingest the enzyme, those are really only synthetic. The most powerful antioxidants are the ones that are activated within our own cells. So how do we get them? What are we going to do? How do we know about these? We've always been trying to find natural Nrf2 activators because science has always known that there are out there. These are some examples of naturally occurring activators. You've seen most of these: garlic, resveratrol, CoQ10, DHA, curcumin. Sulforaphane is found in cruciferous like broccoli. That's the gold standard of naturally occurring Nrf2s, by the way, outside of the body. And exercise. So studies are showing that antioxidants in nutrition the wrong way, like I said, in too high of a dose or isolated single types and synthetic versions, the ones that people buy all the time, can actually cause damage if they're not the right types. These disease processes have free radical damage and oxidative stress related. They're also all inflammatory in nature, CRP. I'm going to repeat that, CRP. And what is that? Let's review it. CRP is what's related to periodontal disease and all of these other things leading to disease processes. If we can activate the protein pathways within our cells, we can produce enzymes that break down these 18 times faster than an ingestible antioxidant. It's like 1 million per second versus a 1-to-1 ratio of taking vitamins and nutrients. So in Time magazine, this article came out about inflammation. We were talking about inflammation causing the impact on oral environment as well. And they knew back in 2004. So why haven't we heard about this? Why don't we know about more of this? We know now that there's a 1-to-1 ratio between regular vitamin molecules and how it reduces one free radical at a time versus 18 to 1. What I'm saying is indirect antioxidants, the ones that we can create in our own bodies, if they're naturally occurring, enzymes and enzymes can reuptake. So after one and you're done, it has to go out. Enzymes can keep reuptaking. After it takes a free radical and dumps it out of the cell, it can come back and utilize it again and get another one and dump it 18 times faster. Much more effective. So many scientists believe that Nrf2 activation is the future, and I believe it too. Cellular protection and health promotion, this foundation of naturally activating Nrf2 to solve the problem of cellular stress is fundamentally different way of restoring the balance of the body. So there's a website called Nrf2science.com that I suggest you look at. There's PubMed that has all the peer reviews that we talked about, and Google Scholar is the Google's version of a scientific approach to Googling something. So how can Nrf2 benefit you? DNA repair, anti-inflammatory, cardiovascular prevention, diabetes prevention, Alzheimer's prevention, cancer prevention, reverse aging of skin prevention, periodontal disease. Remember that Nrf2 is not, and oxidative stress is not a disease process, right? You can't treat, cure, or mitigate something. We can't say that antioxidants at all treat, cure, or mitigate disease, but it sure can reduce the oxidative damage in our cells, and it can help reduce before it starts happening. I'm going to teach you a little bit about this Google Scholar so that you understand how to Google something and teach your patients how to do it too. Google Scholar, like I said, is the science part of Google. If you look up something, you look it up into Google Scholar if you want a peer review or a scientific evidence-based thing. So look up oxidative stress and Nrf2 and do your own due diligence. Oxidative stress, a few years ago there weren't that many, but now there's 2 million studies. I just did this 2 nights ago for this slide so I could be most up to date. 2,220,000 studies on oxidative stress. Nrf2 has now 66,500 studies, where like just a few years ago there was only like maybe 150. How Nrf2 technology directly relates to periodontal disease and inflammation and the biomarkers of CRP. Are your juices flowing yet, guys? Are your brain flowing? Do you know about this now? How is Nrf2 related to perio? How come you don't know about it? How come you've never heard about it? Or maybe you have, but now you're on this webinar, so you want to learn more. There is clinical evidence and science that proves that Nrf2 directly relates to C-reactive protein, and therefore all inflammatory diseases such as stroke, diabetes, arthritis, periodontal. Yes, we just have to find the most potent one that will do this. Yes, there are big pharma trying to produce synthetic versions of Nrf2 activators, but there are side effects to those synthetic versions. I want to talk to you more about the natural ones. We all know that this is periodontal disease and about CRP and periodontal disease. Journal of Periodontology. also talks about oxidative stress. Interleukin-1 beta is one. T-bars, theobitric acidic reactive substance. T-bars is the way that oxidative damage is measured in the cell. Measure of cellular damage from oxidative stress. Dentistry Today came out in 2012. This, I don't know Karen Davis, but I liked her article on understanding antioxidants and the various arsenals that impact the oral health. She talked about emerging products that could do this. She talked about the imbalances and oxidative damage. There are new antioxidant products and supplements that can be Nrf2 activators. Nrf2 Imperial, 1100 date. Very exciting. Very exciting. And so, have any of you seen this ABC Primetime Investigative Report? I wish I could play this for you, but I don't have enough time. This might be one of your homework assignments. abclivet.com. If you type that in, you'll see an investigative report. And what sparked a wave of curiosity in the year 2005 when John Quinones interviewed Dr. Joe McCord, which is the father of free radical biology, who co-discovered superoxide dismutase found in the body. So he knows all about free radical damage and Nrf2 pathways. For 40 years, he's been trying to find the best Nrf2 pathways to activate and be effective and do the same thing over and over and over. So this interview triggered a new wave of studies on oxidative stress in the year 2005 and Nrf2 activation. He and his colleagues introduced a new type of antioxidant that they called protandum. I don't know if anybody of you have ever heard of this, but protandum, they claimed, could reduce oxidative stress by 40% within 30 days, and it was peer-reviewed through independent human trials. And what they found was that it didn't just work with humans, it worked with all mammals that they tested it on. Coming from anybody else, it would have been not well received. However, this man, Dr. McCord, is the only living recipient of the Elliott Crescent Award, which is given to Henry Ford, Alexander Graham Bell, Orville Wright, and Marie Curie. He's the only living recipient of it now. No one else has had it since then. He introduced 5-ingredient pathway. He introduced the Nrf2 that is an herbal supplement that in the year 2016 is still the most potent natural Nrf2 with independent studies and has been proven by science and has 6 patents, and one of them being a patent on C-reactive protein. It's still the strongest on the market and has the most peer reviews. It has 21 peer reviews by major universities. American Heart Association did a journal on it, and the Mayo Clinic did an article on it too. And the 3rd patent on the 6 patents in the United States is clinically proven to be associated with reducing inflammation and the biomarker CRP found in all inflammatory disease. This is a true scientific breakthrough, and it's found on PubMed, and it's clinically proven to reduce oxidative stress by 40% within 30 days of taking the supplement. Now, I don't know about you, but I couldn't believe it when I saw it, and I had to play it again and again because I did not believe what I saw. I thought, why? How? How could this be? 136 trillion free radicals per day, and we could reduce it? It's unheard of. They could not tell the difference between the blood work of a 20-year-old to a person of 80-year-old. It reduced oxidative damage by 40% within 30 days. There's now 6 U.S. patents on it and 3 international on above and beyond that. And here's that cell again. Here's the protanum and the way it works. Here was one of the clinical research parts of this whole thing. When somebody took protanum, within 30 days, it increased superoxide dismutase and catalase, which are major antioxidants that we create in our own bodies. And by the 120th day, they increased by 40% there and 55% there on catalase. And here's another graph that shows oxidative damage from the 0 to 100-year-old. And the green is the people that are taking protanum. The red is somebody that doesn't take any antioxidants. And the turquoise is people that are taking vitamin E and vitamin C in their diet. And you see the age range here. Every person that took protanum, their T-bar readings were lower on almost all counts than all of the other things out there.
This is not a longitudinal study. It's sort of a cross section of people that began the ingesting the protanum or nothing, or vitamin C and E at a point in time.
Yeah, they did people, you know, they have a clinical trial, and then they have people that don't take anything, and then they have people that take vitamin E and vitamin C, and then they have people that take the protanum. So it's like they're doing the study.
Right.
On
they're doing tests of different age groups simultaneously. For a second, it looked like, you know, people that were on it from birth did not increase their antioxidant level.
Oh, no. Yeah, they were saying about
testing various age groups. I get it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And then when you Google protanum now, there's about 282 studies now on protanum. And how does it link also? So PubMed.gov and Google Scholar goes to PubMed.gov when it looks for the peer reviews, and it's the highest standard of peer review information on the internet. When you're looking for something real, you have to go to something that is true, which is PubMed.gov or Google Scholar. So look at the patent. Here's the third patent, the excerpt from it. LifeVantage Corporation, it's a publicly traded company, has been granted the third patent for the flagship of protanum. Protanum has been clinically proven in earlier studies to slow down progress of aging by reducing oxidative stress, and this new patent further documents that it is effective antioxidant enzymes in vivo, lowering C-reactive protein. C-reactive protein is widely considered by doctors and researchers as an indicator of the amount of inflammation present in the body. Elevated basal levels of C-reactive protein are considered risk factors for diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular, and we all know that that's all linked to periodontitis. So remember, all supplements do not cure, treat, or mitigate disease processes, right? Right. What he found also was that they just aren't antioxidant. They also modulate 600 different gene processes, and at higher doses, they regulate over 4,000 genes in our body. So when I found out about that, I just kept reading and reading the articles. I read all of the articles, all of the peer reviews. It took me a while because I really wasn't convinced. And so they did a 5-year update with the patents and the peer reviews, and this is what they said. Protandim is currently the most powerful master regulator on the market. It reduces oxidative damage by 40% within 30 days. It's made naturally, synergistically, of 5 ingredients. And Dr. McCord himself said, and I actually talked to him on the phone a few times, he told me that by themselves, these different extracts do something. They are regulators. However, together and synergistically with the amount of ingredient that he put together with his team, they can't duplicate it with other ingredients or other doses. Because he also, so it's compromised of these things called bacopa, milk thistle, ashwagandha, green tea leaf extract, and basically they also tried other things like aloe vera, turmeric, ginkgo biloba, and the acetylcysteine. But what he found when he did these ingredients, the ones that made the best Nrf2 is the one that he patented. And it's interesting because he was so down to earth when I talked to him. I thought, oh gosh, I should call him to see if, I wanted to know if he would talk to me. And he picked up the phone. He talked to me. He called me back. I couldn't believe it. And so, I wanted to go over a few of the studies so that, I just have about 5 more minutes to go through some of these studies. And I wanted to go through them quickly. You can go through them yourself at home. If you go onto PubMed, you'll be able to see it. But basically, the 6 different patents are there. The 3rd patent is the one on C-reactive protein. And this is a conglomerate. I just cut and paste a few of these onto it. Now, there's one that I like, one of the most that I like. This one is called Oxidative Stress and Health Disease, the Therapeutic Potential of Nrf2 Activation. So what this one said is that basically it compared 2 clinical tier 3 trial medications, bardoxolone methyl dimethyl fumarate, and sulforaphane, the gold standard of naturally occurring Nrf2 found in like broccoli and cruciferous vegetables, and protandim. So basically, the 2 clinical trial medications, one of which is no longer present because it had too many side effects, but this dimethyl fumarate is actually Tixferia, the one that is the new multiple sclerosis medication on the market last year. Anyway, here's sulforaphane, the gold standard. Here's bardoxolone methyl, which is no longer on the market because it had too many side effects. And here is the dimethyl fumarate. Look at the protandim. So Biogen, which is the company that makes the dimethyl fumarate, is actually the one that says that it is the naturally occurring process. So basically, you'll see in my induction that all of the 4 products, the 4 that were on this graph, the bardoxolone methyl, the protandem, the dimethyl fumarate, and the sulforaphane. Do you recognize the names of this? Protandem had the most benefit. Now, studies also show that there are gene symbols here that are in bold indicate gene products targeted by specific drugs used in clinical treatment of disease. Bolded gene symbols with asterisks indicate genes for which protandem treatment modulates gene expressions in the same direction as the achieved drug. Well, looking at this, these gene symbols, there are 19 genes that are affected by atherosclerosis. And with this, you could see that protandem, when somebody took the protandem, these things all decreased. With colon carcinoma, 28 genes were affected and regulated. With Alzheimer's disease, there's 66 genes that are affected by Alzheimer's. It helped reduce the environment of the process. So that's huge. And this study examines the gene expression using the Affymetrix gene chips, which are the same chips used for all clinical pharmaceutical trials. These are the different things that we talked about tonight. PubMed.gov, Google Scholar, Nrf2 Science, Nrf2.com, and abclivit.com. I'll share with that later with you guys, but I just wanted to share it again so that you see it. And dimethyl fumarate. Remember the graph that showed that? Biogen did their own study on Biogen and the MS medication against protandem. And what they found, they didn't really like the results because protandem was actually stronger than their medication. Our findings indicate that several Nrf2 activators are able to significantly increase antioxidant enzyme production oligodendrites. Interestingly, protandem, a dietary supplement, consists of herbal ingredients, was the most potent inducer and therefore may be the most suited for the therapeutic strategy. Importantly, Nrf2-mediated antioxidant enzymes expressed in oligodendrites, which is in the brain, right? Neurons result in enhanced oligodendrite survival during the oxidative attack. Ohio State did a study on Stephenius veins. They also found on a 10-year study that it reduced the inflammation and the fibrosis, and those grafts stayed longer. They didn't have as many problems. So I really want you to understand that I did a lot of research, and I'm sharing with you the years that I've been doing this and reading up on this accumulation of these studies that I've read, and they all point to the same thing. Topics are being studied as we speak: altitude sickness, skin cancer, photoaging, renal failure, HIV, AIDS, pulmonary hypertension, periodontal disease, heart disease. And if we can just implement some of this, and talk to our patients and tell them that our genes are, the ones that our environment can actually help improve our gene makeup process. So this is a cute thing that I found somewhere. I don't know where I got this, but I found this on the internet. Oh, here we go. You've got a rare condition called good health. Frankly, we're not sure how to treat it. As a person with a pro-tandem consumer. Anyway, so how to implement this with your patients in your practice. Incorporate some of these things. Tools with natural occurring things, Keep it simple. Nutritional counseling. I still talk to some patients about, some direct antioxidants, some indirect, and a lot of Nrf2 pathways. We do blood work. We do, we talk about collagen testing. We talk about low system organ testing. And this is the wave of the future. The year 2016 way of optimal oral health is going to be far different than the way you treated optimal oral health 10 years ago. These are things that I incorporate. And so I keep talking about this Protandim, and when I first looked into this, so 2009 is when I started looking at it, and basically it used to be at GNC in the vitamin shops and CVS pharmacy, and because the bottle couldn't talk, it was just kind of sitting there on the shelf. So the company decided to change it to a online type of a product, and so basically I think it did better, and it's doing better as a direct sales company. And you'll know, like, some direct sales companies in dentistry, like OxyFresh and dental care, are kind of the same kind of things. But basically, it's all about the products, guys, the best products on the market that can help your patients become healthier naturally and preventatively. Do it before it happens. See these neurons? This is a normal stress neuron and then a high stress neuron. See these little dendrites there? There's not as many over here. So it's proven to help these things. This other one product that I take myself, but I don't incorporate it in my office so much, is this powdered energy drink that they have, and it's for mental focus. All natural. Some of these things help boost cellular protection. Some of these things are in the product like Protandim, and it is an Nrf2 activator, but it's not as strong as Protandim. Right now, Protandim is the leading one that has the only independent peer review studies, and is the strongest comparatively to all the other natural Nrf2s. So I hope that this science is helpful for you, and I hope it opens up your way and channels of thinking, and keeping things that are true and science-based are all important to me. And so I just wanted to let you know that that's what I've incorporated. Here's a document that I share with my patients about the Protandim. If I talk about it, I don't talk about this to everybody. I tell patients this if they have multiple medications that they're taking, and then also if they have periodontal disease or refractory periodontal disease. I even talk to patients about this when I'm placing implants because I want that bone to grow back better. And so at first I started putting patients on this 3 or 4 months and then seeing the results for their gum tissues. And what I found was that patients were coming back and saying, oh, can I take this after I get my implant because I feel great? And, those are all testimonials. Those are not science, but, every patient that I have placed on this basically has great results. And those that stopped taking it, they probably never understood it in the first place, or they didn't give it enough chance to start working. So, basically, I went through all of those peer reviews, and then this is a document that I have at my office that I just list the different ones so that if patients want to know, which they probably don't want to know, they probably don't want to read them because I've read them, so they trust me. But at least I have it so that they know that it's clinically proven. And all of these studies, just to let you know, it's not about the ingredients. These studies all talk about protandem in their study. It's not just, oh, we have this ingredient and this ingredient and this ingredient. No, they clinically prove that protandem does these things in their studies. That's why it's such a big, big deal to me. So understanding epigenetics, understanding whole body health, and that it's not going away, it's only going to get better. And I hope you know that protandem is probably not the only one that's going to be out on the market. Maybe there will be others. But at this point, this one is the most powerful and the one that I like to use with a lot of my patients. So, best future for you. Feel your best, perform your best, and look your best.
Sounds familiar. Isn't that your mission statement for your practice or similar?
Oh, well, it's sort of that, but yeah, not exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd like to go ahead and take some questions if anybody has any questions, and I hope I helped clarify this with you.